Welcome, and thank you for joining us for Charlotte's UDO You. I'm Allison Craig, Interim Planning Director for the City of Charlotte. Charlotte's UDO You aims to help viewers understand the purpose of the Unified Development Ordinance, also known as the UDO. The UDO includes many new regulatory approaches in areas that include parking, tree preservation, transportation, and drainage, and will expand on how we advance community priorities of affordable housing, public open space, and the environment, as well as promote small, minority, and women-owned firms. Let's welcome our special guest for this month's show, Laura Harmon, the UDO Project Manager. Welcome, Laura.
Thanks, Allison. I'm excited to be here today.
Before we jump into today's topics, it is important to note that throughout the show, you'll notice a QR code on your screen. You can scan it and it will take you to our website, charlotteudo.org, where you can explore all of the topics that you're most interested in. Laura, with the upcoming release of the second draft, I'm sure the community is wondering what changes will be made.
Allison, good question. On today's show, we'll share information related to highlights within the second draft, including heritage trees, parking standards, sidewall restrictions, height transitions, short-term rental, and a new type of historic district.
Let's first talk about heritage trees. There are two major changes proposed to the Heritage Tree Protection Standard in the second draft UDO. First, the second draft makes a distinction in how heritage trees are treated on lots being developed versus property owner decisions deciding to remove a tree on their property. Secondly, heritage tree protection is much more flexible in the second draft than the first draft. The new heritage tree standards are located in section 20.14 of the UDO. For heritage tree removal for property owners and property owner decisions, a permit is still required, removal is allowed, and the mitigation fee has been reduced to $500 plus one tree planted. Each additional tree planted reduces the fee by $250. For development projects, a permit still is required, but the removal is allowed in the development footprint now. There are incentives for preservation of heritage trees, and the mitigation fee has been increased to $1,500 plus one tree planted. Each additional tree planted reduces the fee by $250. In all cases, diseased, dead, dying, or hazardous trees do not require mitigation or a permit to remove.
Allison, one topic we had a lot of buzz about was short-term rentals.
Yes, there were very engaging conversations around short-term rental standards in the first draft. However, the second draft removes these standards. Recently, the North Carolina Court of Appeals issued a ruling on the topic of short-term rentals in the case of Schroeder versus the City of Wilmington. The City of Wilmington may appeal this recently issued ruling. Additionally, the City of Charlotte staff anticipates there may be state legislation enacted regarding the regulation of short-term rentals. In light of the current legal and legislative uncertainty surrounding the topic of short-term rentals, the Charlotte City Attorney's Office has recommended refraining from proposing any short-term rental regulations at this time. When there is better legal clarity regarding this issue, we will revisit these regulations in later versions of the UDO. Laura, earlier you mentioned changes to standards related to sidewall restrictions and height transitions. What should citizens know about those changes?
Allison, we've included standards in the UDO for duplexes and triplexes that will be allowed in our neighborhoods. Since this is new, we want to make sure that these housing types fit into our neighborhoods. That's why we have limitations on the height of the sidewalls of these buildings. However, we received a lot of feedback that our original proposal was too low, so we have adjusted the maximum sidewall height from 12 to 20 feet in most cases to make sure that we allow two-story duplexes and triplexes. We have also revised the height limitation for buildings outside of but close to our neighborhoods. For any building within 100 feet of a neighborhood one place type, these are our residential subdivisions, by the way, the height is limited to 50 feet instead of 65 feet as originally proposed. For the next 100 feet, the limit will remain 65 feet. If you're further than 200 feet from a neighborhood, you can build up to the height limit for your zoning district, which may be more than 65 feet.
Coming up, we'll talk about updates to the parking standards and a new type of historic district included in the second draft. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now let's talk through parking standards.
parking standards in the first draft of the UDO have gotten a lot of attention, especially because some cities have eliminated all parking minimums. We've adjusted some of our parking standards in the second draft of the UDO, but have kept the basic three-tier structure. Having 3 tiers allows us to require more parking in those areas where there are limited transportation options. In other areas, such as uptown and around our transit stations, we've eliminated most requirements to provide parking because there are many transportation options, including transit, in these areas. We believe that the first version of the UDO is a starting point with respect to parking standards, and we will revisit the need for parking as the community continues to evolve. In addition, there are transportation studies underway that could help guide changes in the future.
We also have a new type of historic district. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. It's called the Street Side Historic District. It follows the same processes as our current historic district overlay, but the purpose is just a little bit different. The focus is on maintaining an area's character and on preserving those key character-defining features of individual buildings within the district as viewed from the street, and that's why it's called Street Side.
I have one last question. When will people start using the UDO?
Allison, we're recommending that the UDO go into effect 9 months after it's adopted by City Council, which is scheduled for August 22nd. That will give the community and staff time to adjust to the new standards. We're also working on a specific schedule for what will happen during those 9 months, including when we'll begin to accept plans designed using the UDO.
Thank you for those updates, Laura. We're going to take another short break, but we'll be right back. I would like to thank Laura Harmon, the UDO project manager, for joining me today. We invite you to stay engaged as the UDO's second draft will be released Friday, June 3rd. Comments on the draft will be accepted from June 3rd through June 30th at charlotteudo.org. Join us on June 14th or June 16th for a UDO virtual update session where planning staff will highlight key changes within the second draft. You have the option to register for a session from 12 to 1 p.m. or 6 to 7 p.m. on either date. Also, save the date for our UDO open house on June the 15th at the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Government Center from 2:30 to 6:30 p.m. Stop by to chat with subject matter experts on what is new in the second draft UDO. And be sure to register for our virtual office hours on June 21st, 22nd, 23rd, or 28th, where you can chat one-on-one with subject matter experts about the second draft UDO. To register and find out more about these engagement opportunities, please visit charlotteudo.org. Finally, citizens may register to speak at the Charlotte City Council public hearing for the UDO on Monday, July the 11th. Thank you for watching Charlotte's UDO and You. You can always view the latest draft, find resources, and register for engagement opportunities at charlotteudo.org, and we hope you will continue to engage with us.